Okay, so by the end of this video, we will have 3 operating systems installed in our single hard drive in our computers. So yes, this is a triple boot video in which we will be installing 3 operating systems: Microsoft Windows 10, Ubuntu 20.04 LTS Focal Fossa, and Manjaro 20 Lycia. So this is going to be a long video, so I'll put the timestamps in the description. So first of all, let's begin the pre-installation talk. So the first point here is that I'm going to assume two things. The first is going to be that Windows 10 is already installed on your computer. If it's not installed, it's not really an issue. You can go ahead and install Windows 10 first. And the second assumption that I am making is that your computer boots in legacy BIOS, which means of course that your partitioning scheme is MBR and not GPT. And the reason for that is that this works flawlessly in legacy BIOS, but if your computer boots in UEFI, then there are tons of issues that occur. So the reason for that is like there are a few partitions that you cannot delete out of the box. For example, the OEM partition or the partition the manufacturer or Microsoft created for UEFI. So that is the reason why you want to ensure that your BIOS mode is legacy. Now that we have ensured these things, let's go ahead to our favorite web browser and get our ISOs and a couple of software. So you can search for Ubuntu 20.04 LTS. The first website will lead you to this page, and you want to click on this 64-bit PC and click on OK. So I'm not going to click on OK because I already have the ISOs downloaded, but you can click on OK. Now you want to search for Manjaro 20. The downloads page will be the first option, the first link. Now you will get 3 options here: Manjaro XFCE, Manjaro KDE, and Manjaro GNOME. You can go ahead and download any one. For this video I am using Manjaro KDE, so just so that we can have a bit of variety. I just didn't want to have 2 GNOME desktops in one video. So anyways, to download Manjaro, go and click on your desktop environment and then click on download. Take me to download, and then you will be taken to another page, and download will commence in a short period. So as you can see, a pop-up window has appeared, and you want to click on OK, and the download will start. Again, I'm not going to click on download because I already have the ISOs. Now you want a tool in via which you can make your bootable USBs. So my preference on Windows is Rufus. You can go ahead and grab Balena Etcher, it's your preference, but Rufus works best on Windows for me. And you can go ahead and download Rufus by clicking on this link. Again, there will be a prompt, but I already have Rufus, so I'm not going to click on install or download. The last thing that we want to download is EasyBCD, and you have to click on the first link. Now this is a paid software, but you can go ahead and grab the free version, which is for non-commercial personal use. So you have to register via your email ID and name, and then you can download. The reason why we need EasyBCD is to give our triple boot aesthetic look. So now that we have our ISOs and the software, we want to go ahead and make our bootable pen drive USB. So you want to enter your USB. For example, I am going to enter a USB here, and you want to click on Rufus, and then a window like this should appear. You want to select your disk, you want to select your ISOs. So my ISOs is, for example, over here. So you can select anyone, and then you can click on start. Now I'm not going to click on start because I already have my bootable USBs created. So once you click start, your bootable USB will be created. Now suppose that you do not have Windows installed, and you have another computer with Windows installed. You can go ahead and do these procedures on that Windows machine. Now let's take into consideration, if you do not have another Windows machine, probably you have another machine running any Linux distribution, then you can go ahead and create your Windows 10 bootable USB. I have a video for that, the link is in the description, as well as create your Linux bootable USB, the USB for Ubuntu 20.0 for LTS and Manjaro. I have a video for that as well, the link is in the description, go ahead and check that out. So at this point I am assuming that you have your ISOs downloaded and your bootable USB is created. So now let's go ahead to our disk partitioning manager. You can right click here and go to disk management, or you can go to the terminal and type in disk mgmt-msc. It's the same thing, it will open the same window. Anyways, now that we are here, we want to salvage at least 100 gigs for this. I mean, like, come on, we are triple booting a system. So 10240, that should be right. Let's open a calculator and check. So you want to multiply 100 with 1024, and there's 2 zeros, so 1024, I just did a mistake. So this should give us exactly 100 gigs. So we have 100 gigs of space unallocated here. So we are going to install our Ubuntu and Manjaro in this 100 gigs of space. Now you can salvage more the better, but I'm just going to go with a minimal installation. So 100 gigs is fine for this case. Once all this is done, I'm assuming at this point that you have your Windows operating system installed, your Manjaro and Ubuntu bootable USBs ready, your disk partition ready, and one more thing that I would like you to do is backup all your data in Windows. This installation procedure actually doesn't affect Windows, but just in case, if you do not follow the video properly, if you accidentally delete something which you shouldn't be deleting, then you want to have your data backed up in a place. So I'm not going to don't blame me for if you lose your data. So I'm saying it again, please back up your data if you have any at Windows. If this is a fresh installation for you, then there's no issue, you can just proceed further. So now we are going to shut down our computer. We're not going to reboot, we're going to shut down and then insert our Ubuntu 20.04 LTS bootable USB first, and I'll tell you the reason later on. Why do we want to install Ubuntu first and Manjaro later. So let's shut down our computer. Okay, now so we want to shut down, and meanwhile we want to connect our Ubuntu bootable USB to our computer and then boot it again. Okay, so once you boot again, you want to enter your boot menu. So you can enter the boot menu by referencing the motherboard's manufacturer's website. For example, in Dell laptops it's a combination of F11 and F12. In HP laptops it's a combination of, I think, F10 and F11. On Zebronics motherboard it's a combination of it is by pressing F11. So anyways, whatever your motherboard manufacturer is, you can go ahead and check the website. For laptops it's going to be the manufacturer of the laptop itself. So once we are in our boot menu, you want to select the USB device that we plugged in. Please note that you want to select the USB device under the legacy boot options and not under the UEFI boot option. So you want to select this, press enter, and Ubuntu has started, and now it will run a disk check. So we are going to give it some time, and you should do the same, because I have actually sped up a lot of areas of the video wherever possible, or else it would have made the video too long. So you do not want to speed up anything or force the computer to do anything faster. Give it its time, let it do whatever it wants, and just be patient with the machine, or you will have your triple boot done. And once the disk checking is complete, we will be greeted by the installation page. So this is it. Now we want to click on install Ubuntu. and click on English US. Let me just zoom this a bit. So it's asking for wireless settings, so we do not want internet connection right now. And the installation will be a normal installation, so we want to click on continue. Sorry for the interference you're seeing here. So right now the installation type is going to be there are a few options here that we want to install Ubuntu alongside Windows 10. You can do that, it makes sense, but we want to do a triple boot, so it will be problematic in that sense. So the second option is erase this. No, we do not want to do that, so we have to click on something else, and the partitioner has opened. Now here is the 100 gigs that we created, the 100 gigs free space we created. So we are going to do the partitioning here. So let me just see if you are able to see this clearly. Okay, so I figured out I can't do anything about the interference of the screen and the camera. So anyways, I want to select the free space, click on add over here, and we're going to create a boot partition which is going to be 350 gigs. Now actually we do not need to do this, but there's a reason why I'm doing this, and you'll get to know that once the whole installation is done. So right now we want to make it as a logical partition, select it as beginning of this space, and the mount point is going to be boot, and we're going to click OK. Now that I think is being created. Now our boot partition is created. Now we want to click on free space, click on the plus sign again, and I'm going to create a 20 gigs partition 20480 for the root partition of Ubuntu. So we're going to select slash, and it's also going to be beginning of this space and a logical partition. So click on OK. What actually is happening is that the Ubuntu partition manager is creating an extended partition. We'll talk about this when we install Manjaro, but it really makes it's very intuitive, and it makes installation very easy, especially for new users. Now we want to create a swap area, so that should be around 8 gigs. Swap area should be equal to the amount of RAM you have. So I have 8 gigs of RAM, so I'm going to have 8 gigs of swap. This is going to be at the end of this space. It's going to be a logical partition again, but this time use as swap area instead of ext4 file journaling system. So it will be created over here at the end. As you can see, it's over here at the end. And now we want to create a root partition. So we have around 75 gigs left, so I'll go ahead and create we'll keep 20 for Manjaro, so we'll create a 50 gig partition probably. Let's make it how much can we give it? 55,000 is good enough. And this is going to be at the end of this space, ext4 file journaling system, and this is going to be a common home partition for both Ubuntu and Manjaro. I'm going to click on OK, and it should be created over here. So yes, it is properly 55 gigs, right? So we have around 20 gigs for approximately, if my math is right, 20 gigs for Manjaro root partition. So anyways, right now we want to select the device for bootloader installation, and that's going to be dev/sdf5 because that's where our boot partition is. And now I'm going to click on install. So again, let's have a recap. SDA 5 is going to be your boot partition, it's 350 MBs. SDA 6 is going to be your root partition for Ubuntu, which is 20 gigs. I think 20 gigs minimum is required. SDA 8 is our home partition, which is 55 gigs, and this is going to be a common directory for both the Ubuntu and Manjaro systems. And we have a swap area for that is around 8 gigs. That is 8 gigs. So now I'm going to click on install now, and this prompt will be here. So you want to click on continue, select your region, and you can add your name and click continue, and give it some time. Should take about 5 to 6 minutes if you have, actually not 5 to 6 minutes, around, give it around 10 minutes. So it should take, it all depends on your processing power. So like in an i5 processor or i7 processor, it should take around 5 to 10 minutes. So I'm going to see you when the installation is complete. So now we get a message that our installation is complete and we need to restart our computer. So I'm going to click on restart now, and we do not want to remove our pen drive as of now or USB as of now. There will be a message. So now as you can see, there's a message, remove the installation medium and then press enter. So I've removed the medium and I'm pressing enter. Okay, so our Ubuntu installation is complete, and now we want to install Manjaro. So we have to select the USB storage device and click enter. And one thing that you should take note of is that I really recommend you to make the partition, the Manjaro bootable USB via the DD command rather than Rufus. So right now we have this screen, welcome to Manjaro. You want to click enter. Yes, so I was talking about making the bootable of Manjaro via DD command. The reason is, you'll see shortly that a lot of modules won't load if you made the bootable via Rufus. So making via the DD command is the best alternative, the best option you have. So right now it is booting without any issues, but if I had made the bootable via Rufus, then it would have shown failures in the areas where it's showing okay. So now our desktop will be shown on the screen. We have this, yes, and as you might probably see, this is Manjaro hello Licia 20.0, and I'll close this, and now we want to install Manjaro. Here's the user manual, which you can take time to read, but right now I'm going to install Manjaro. We can install Manjaro from here as well, but that's really for the advanced users, so we are not going to touch that. We want to click on this install Manjaro, and let me just expand this a bit. So it's searching for two things. First is an internet connection, and second it's a power supply, both of which are, we do not need to install Manjaro. So we'll just wait for it to load whatever it needs to load, and then now we want to click on next. Select your region, doesn't really matter. Select your keyboard. I'm selecting the default keyboard, and now we have 4 options. First things first, I want to show you that our BIOS setting is legacy BIOS, and our disk partitioning scheme is MBR. The 4 options we get here is install alongside. This will remove Windows, wipe out Windows. Replace a partition, this will again wipe out something. Erase disk will erase everything. And what we want to select is manual partitioning. Now click on next, and here we see that we have 4 primary partitions, which are the only partitions we can make on a hard disk drive, and every other partition to be made is an extended partition. So that is why we installed Ubuntu first, because Ubuntu without any issues and makes your extended partition by itself. So anyways, right now we have the SDA 5, which is our Ubuntu bootloader, the SDA 6, which is the Ubuntu root, and the free space 20 gigs that we left. And this is our home directory of Ubuntu as well as Manjaro. So we'll talk about this in a few minutes, and this is the swap area. So first of all, let's click on the free space and click on create, and then I'll keep it full. So we want to make the root partition of this 21.7 gigs. The file system will be ext4 and the mount point will be root. Click on OK. So you see this root option is here. Now we want to select SDA 7 as our swap, so it's already selected as swap, and SDA 8 we want to click on edit and keep, and the mount point will be home. So now we will have a common home partition, and over here right now below this area, install bootloader on. So we want to install the bootloader on SDA, this new partition that we created, the one with the new with the root sign. So it doesn't have any name right now, its name is new partition, and we want to install the Manjaro bootloader on this partition itself. And now I'm going to click next, and here's some advice on UEFI, but we don't need to worry about that now. Just enter your credentials. And once that's done, click on next. Here is your option if you want to install Office. So you can go ahead and install Office, but Ubuntu already has LibreOffice, so I'm not going to install any Office here. Click on next and install now, and the installer will install Manjaro for you. So again, just like Ubuntu, give the installer its time to install, and there will be a message that installation has been complete. So I will see you there. Okay, so Manjaro has been installed. You see the message that Manjaro Linux 20.0 Lycia has been installed. So you have to click on restart now and click on done. And now you want to remove your bootable USB, and what we see is you automatically will boot back into Windows. So this is okay. We want to boot into Windows as of now, and do some settings in Windows. Okay, so the video is over. We have installed Ubuntu 20.04 LTS and Manjaro 20 Lycia. So is the video really over? Technically yes, practically no. So this is where we talk about the aesthetic triple boot feel. So let's open EasyBCD. Click on yes when you're prompted to, and you should get a screen like this. Now we want to edit the boot menu, so come down here and add a new entry. First of all, now if you already booted into Windows directly, you do not have to do this, what I'm going to tell you. But if for example you booted into, if GRUB booted up, so you should go to BCD deployment and write MBR, but we are not going to do that. So right now we want to add a new entry. So we are going to add two new entries. So we want to click on Linux BSD. The type is going to be GRUB2. I'm going to name the first as Ubuntu 20.04, and the drive is going to be partition 4, which is the 333 MB drive, which was we created as the 350 MB drive. So we are going to click on enter plus. So we have the Ubuntu 20.04, and we are going to create another entry. So we are going to name it Manjaro 20, and this time it's going to be automatically locate and load, and we're going to click on plus. Now we are going to edit boot menu, and we're going to tick on use Metro bootloader, and the countdown in your case might be 30, so you can make it 10 and save settings. And please make sure that you want to tick on Windows 10 as yes, and on Ubuntu 20 and Manjaro 20 as no. Let's save settings and close this. So now I'm going to reboot my systems in order to go into the Linux operating systems we installed. So I'm going to come here, and before pressing restart I want to press shift and then press restart. So what we will get is something like this. Just wait for a while, and what we should get is an option like this: use another operating system. Click enter, and we have three options here. So Windows 10 will boot back us to Windows, Ubuntu 20 will boot us to Ubuntu, and Manjaro 20 will boot us to Manjaro. But we will have the same GRUB bootloader for both Ubuntu 20 and Manjaro 20. So let's boot Manjaro first. So this is how the Manjaro GRUB looks like with Manjaro highlighted. So you want to click enter. Okay, so now that you have logged into your Manjaro 20, I want to show you the partitions that we have done via the file browser. So we have Dolphin here in Manjaro. So I'm just going to create a file here. Okay, before we do that, let me show you the devices here. So this 400 GB hard drive is our let me just click it. So this 400 GB hard drive is our C drive in Windows. This 333 MB hard drive is our boot menu for boot partition, boot directory for our Ubuntu. This 51 gigs is this space, as you can see here. This around 47.4 gigs free. So this will be common for both Ubuntu and Manjaro. So we'll just create a file here, a text file, and we'll just name it text file. So once we log into our into our Ubuntu file browser, we should be able to see this text file. Now this is our D drive in Windows. This 19 gigs is our root partition of our Ubuntu, and this is the root partition of Manjaro. So in total we have around 6 drives, and this 51.2 GB drive is what is common for both Ubuntu and Manjaro. And we can also access our Windows folders here. So for example, I can access the Windows folder. So now I'm going to shut down my computer and boot into Ubuntu 20. So the moment I turn off my power button every time from now onwards, I will have the Windows bootloader. The first thing to happen is that the Windows bootloader will come up, and then we will be greeted by the screen where we want to select our operating system. So right now we want to select Ubuntu. So we'll wait for the screen to come, and obviously you can go ahead and select whichever operating system you want every time you turn on the power button. Right now we want to go into Ubuntu and see our home directory, so we are going to click enter, and this will lead us to the same Manjaro bootloader, but this time Ubuntu 20 will be highlighted. So as you can see, we are back into the Manjaro bootloader, but this time Ubuntu 20.04 LTS is highlighted. So we are going to click on enter. So once you log into your Ubuntu operating system, you should be greeted by this screen. Seasoned Ubuntu users will realize that the scheming has changed, and that the reason for that is that we have Manjaro installed alongside Ubuntu and Windows 10, of course. So let's access the file browser. So we can see that the text file.txt we created in Manjaro is here, because the home directory, which is this, is shared with Manjaro. the root directories of both the operating systems are different, so we can access the root directories. This is our Ubuntu root directory, and this is the Manjaro root directory, which is on SDA9. And of course our Windows directories are here. This is our C drive and D drive, and we can access a lot of things, like the Manjaro screen recording is here, so I can access that. So this is it, guys. I think we are done now. So we have successfully installed Windows 10, Ubuntu 20.04 LTS Focal Fossa, and Manjaro 20 Lycia on a single hard drive in a single computer. So that is it, guys. If you like the video, please do subscribe. Your subscription will really be very encouraging to me, because a lot of effort has gone into making this video. So share this with your friends, whoever is as crazy as you and me, and like this video as well. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a nice day.